pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we do the roll call?
Alberts. Absent. Chillian.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Waffenthal.
Here.
Latin. Here. Hall.
Here.
Janelli. Steichen. Here. Taversack.
Here.
Transilla. Here. One absent.
The board welcomes public participation and asks that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaint or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School. Our first participant will be Mr. Tony Banks.
Lead the chairperson, the board. Anthony Vines, lifetime resident of Danbury, Connecticut. It's funny, I just seen Ash right there. He's one of the kids I seen growing up coming through the Danbury school system. So to see him right now, I'm pretty excited. Like I said, I'm a lifetime resident. I coach Pop Warner football. I play around with the kids. And I deal with the kids. So I also have a niece that I pick up from Head Start. So when I go pick her up and I see her smile and I see the kids smile around the school, I'm like, we can't take away this smile. We gotta have that smile because I'm happy to go pick her up at school because she's always happy. What you do today, I did coloring, I did this, I did that. So the Head Start is very important. Like I said, I'm a lifetime resident and I do support. I hope everybody here supports and we don't take the smiles from the kids and keep the Head Start alive. Thank you.
Monica? You know I have a trouble with that last night, don't you?
Sometimes I do too. I just wanted to say thank you. I know that you all had a very. I just wanted to say thank you. I know you guys had a very difficult decision, and I just wanted to thank the board, the members here, and the staff for continuing to be partners and serving the children and families and our staff of our program. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Hi. Hi, I'm Miss Elizabeth Flores. I'm here for the Mayor Mountain recently wrote all-day kindergarten is probably the #1 reason that I have heard from parents and one of the top priorities in the district because of its impact of academic success. This statement is echoed in the voices of Moore Street School Readiness parents. 18 parents attended the quarterly school readiness advisory board meeting on May 8th to prepare for their children's transition to kindergarten in September. The majority of the meeting was an emotional discussion on the need for a full-day kindergarten at Moore Street School. Moore Street School's demographics clearly reflect the need for an all-day kindergarten program. Moore Street is a home to 446 students, including 40 school readiness. 84% of students receive free or reduced lunch, and 65% of school students speak a language other than English at home. We were fortunate that the Family Resource Center provided wraparound kindergarten for our half-day students at a small cost. However, next year this program will not be run through the Moore Street FRC. This will result in 25% increase in fees for parents. With respect to the given statistics, Moore Street school parents strive to provide basic necessities for the family. An additional fee for wraparound kindergarten is a burden to families struggling to get by. This results in less students enrolled in wraparound and more only receiving half-day instruction. Our goal is for children to master the required kindergarten skills and extra support in small groups instruction. This is more achievable given the full-time frame. A large amount of our students are ESL learners and benefits greatly from extended instructions to further develop vocabulary and literacy skills. Moreover, Moore Street School Readiness prepares students to adjust to a full-day schedule and academical prepares them for transition to kindergarten. Transitioning to a half-day program only hinders the efforts of the school readiness program. Our commitment to the excellence in education for students and their parents is always first in minds of staff members. Two important questions need to attention. Is Moore Street School crowded? Yes. But what can we provide another classroom to accommodate full-day kindergarten? Yes. The benefits to our children and families certainly outweigh any space accommodation that is necessary. Moore Street School always finds a way if you give us the opportunity to make it happen. Thank you for your consideration.
Dr. Massini?
Good evening. My name is Ralph Mancini, and I moved to Danbury roughly 15 years ago. And one of the reasons I moved to Danbury is because of the school system. We found it to be terrific. But recently we've been concerned over what we see as a decline in an achievement gap, and primarily grades K through 12. I have a degree in chemistry. I've also happened to be an attorney, so I'm highly appreciative of the sciences and math. And in my view, in view of these lean times, we have to concentrate on priorities, K through 12, and within K through 12, reading, writing, arithmetic, and science. Unless we close that achievement gap, we're all failing our children. There's no doubt about it. Now, and in my opinion, until we close that achievement gap, we shouldn't be spending one penny on programs that are not legally mandated. And in that vein, I know a lot of supporters here for Head Start, and I'm not here to condone or condemn Head Start, okay? But I do pose a question. Whatever benefit the kids get from Head Start, what will happen if we don't fix K through 12? Close that achievement gap. Whatever benefits they realize are going to evaporate very quickly. So, in my opinion, what I would like to see the board do is set some priorities. And frankly, I don't care what you do with Head Start. If you want to fund it, but we have to close the achievement gap. And that should be a priority for the board and for our school officials. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Elizabeth?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth DiResto. I am a resident of Danbury. I'm a soccer coach. I'm also a teacher in Danbury. I teach 2 half-day kindergarten classes at Shelter Rock School. And I'm here to ask that the board consider putting paraprofessionals back in our classrooms. And they really play a vital role. As of a few weeks ago, we had 54 kindergartners registered for next year at Shelter Rock School. We've identified 23 of those students have very little or no skills at all. So that's 42%. Cannot write their name, cannot identify letters or numbers. So it's my responsibility when these kids come to school in September, that they can't hold a pencil and they can't know that they don't know an A is an A, to have them reading at a DRA level 4 in June. Okay, we don't start explicitly teaching reading until January, which means I have about 3.5 months to get these kids that knew nothing in the beginning of September reading by the end of the year. What happens is the year goes on, the achievement gap gets bigger and bigger. Those kids that have skills versus the kids that don't, it gets bigger and bigger. You know, when you hang out with 5 and 6-year-olds all day, they're not very independent. They can't do anything independently. So if I need to go and work with a small group of children who are struggling, the rest of my class is throwing pencils and doing nothing. That's not feasible. The paraprofessionals work with those students and help close the gap. So we're talking about closing the achievement gap. It starts in kindergarten. Research shows kids that are not proficiently reading by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. It's a fact. Okay, we need to fix it in kindergarten. Kindergarten is the foundation for reading. Let's not wait till 3rd grade when the CMTs come and everyone freaks out because, oh my gosh, we can't do writing prompts, we can't comprehend reading. It's too late then. We have to fix it in kindergarten, give them the foundation in K1 and 2, so by the time they get to 3rd grade and they're taking the CMTs, everyone isn't panicking. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you will just take this into consideration.
Thank you. Melissa?
Hello, I'm Melissa Gabriel, and I'm currently in my 8th year of teaching kindergarten at Moore Street School. Basically, I can just say ditto to everything that's been said thus far. I've taught both half-day kindergarten, I've taught both full-day kindergarten, so I do see the difference. And absolutely, we need full-day kindergarten without a doubt. And Moore Street School, I believe, is a priority, just as our parent was stating. We have quite a few Moore Street parents here tonight. I'm just going to raise your hands real quick. Who's here for Moore Street? Very good. But I've also taught with a paraeducator and without, and I just want to share a few personal stories. Last year was my first year teaching without a paraeducator in the classroom, and I think about the 1st or 2nd month of last school year, I came here and I shared a story about how one of the students yelled out in the middle of class, "Mrs. Gabriel is not an octopus." And I said, "You're right." And she said, "She cannot help everybody at the same time." And when you have 20 students in the classroom, you're the only one, you can't challenge the child that needs to be challenged. You can't work with the child who can't even write their name. You can't write with, you can't help the child who's just where they should be. You can't help them all at the same time. With having a 2nd person in the classroom, you can break up into at least a 1-to-10 ratio or smaller, hopefully. And my 2nd story I can share is that I was just told, I've actually been told a couple times this year by the 1st grade teachers that the students they have this year are the lowest academically that they've had in a long time. And I take that very personally because those were my students. And those students are the first ones going on without paraeducators in the classroom. So that's something definitely to think about. And definitely full-day kindergarten and paraeducators. We need to rebuild our kindergarten foundation. Thank you.
Hello, I'd like to thank the board for all their hard work. I know that, there's a lot of financial difficulties now, but I'm also here to advocate for all-day kindergarten and paraeducators in kindergarten. I've been teaching kindergarten in Danbury for 32 years. I've taught half-day, extended day, and full day. And to tell you the truth, the last couple of years, I've seen the kindergarten program in Danbury actually take a step backwards. Our students need full day. We have many ELL students that need the extra help. We do have to have small group instruction because of the gap that we have. I also have a grandson that's going to be entering kindergarten in September, and I'm thinking all the local towns all went to all-day kindergarten with full-day paras also, full-time paras. And I want him also, as I want all Danbury kindergarten students to benefit and to have the same opportunities that all the kindergarten students have in all the local towns as well. And I thought, I want to leave the board with one thought. If I were to triple and double your work and take away your secretary and your extra help and then shorten your day by half. Do you honestly think that the quality of your work would be the same? So I'm just here, please reconsider the kindergarten full day program and the paraeducators. Thank you.
Prior to the regular board meeting, we had a special meeting of the board regarding budget and recommendations. Conditional funding was, at that time when I created this agenda, was a greater concern for me and for the town of Danbury, because it was unknown at that time whether it would continue. But as a result of what Cindy just talked about, the influences and the change, conditional funding is part of next year's agreed upon reform law for the state of Connecticut. For Danbury, it recognizes the ability to increase educational cost savings money, educational cost money to the state, to the town of $1.7 million, which comes directly to us. So we're going to have 1.7. That 1.7, everybody, things people are talking about is how can we make things close that achievement gap by setting priorities and intervening where it makes the most sense. And we're going to have the ability now to do some things, not as much as we want. But I said to the board, we will prioritize the 1.7 and then go beyond that in case there's some other funding. We think the funding should last 5 years. I don't think anything is guaranteed, but I think the board knows that we will do what we can to increase to full day kindergarten across the city, and that's one of our priorities. And I think that conditional funding will give us an opportunity to start on that. So we'll talk more later on.
I need a motion for action item A.
That the Board of Education accept the April 2012 operating results analysis of the general fund 12-101.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Ed?
Yeah, a couple things. A couple things that will be changing for May. We just received some updates. One is the workers' compensation. That's account 205. It's showing a deficit of $149,000, and as you know, we have to pay the first $500,000. So from December to March, we're showing a higher deficit, an additional $52,000. So that deficit we'll see in May will be $202,000 in workers' comp. The next one, legal fees special ed, that shows a deficit of $8,468. That will probably increase by another $10,000 on a couple of cases, special ed cases that are pending. A couple of good things, accounts 520, 521, and 522. That's, next year we're going to lump it all together. As you know, the town buys the insurance and sends us the bill. We're going to, those three accounts will be together, and it'll be called, one account will be LAP, L-A-P, liability, auto, and property. Because we get one bill and the town does not break it down. So that will be, in our next budget, will be one account. We also are showing that there will be an additional savings of approximately $30,000 in that account in May. Next one is the 530 communications. We filed all of the forms for the universal fund. We're waiting for that check. That check then offsets the deficit of $116,000. We will be receiving between $70,000 and $90,000. So that deficit will be going down because of that check to pay off the communications. What's going to happen next year? It's already in the budget. The AT&T and all of our communications will be deducting the credit from the federal government, so they get the check directly and reduces our bill every month. Didn't happen this year. That's why we're over. That's why we're overextended. We're getting the check and we're offsetting the expenditures.
Is there any questions directed to Ed? Mr. Terry?
Yeah, I'm just not sure about the workers' compensation. We're getting that figure that you mentioned is going to be going down?
No, that's up. It's it's a deficit of $10,000.
Okay, well, now if this increases and all, just how is this going to affect the rest of the budget?
Well,
I mean, it
there's a
seems to
couple
me
of,
that's a large number.
right, well, that effect, that is up 52,000. We'll have a reduction of 36,000 from the LAP thing. We have a $10,000 increase in special ed costs for legal fees, and then we see $90,000 as a credit. So if you take all those, we'll have a $232,000 end of year balance will increase approximately $70,000. So we'll have almost $300,000 as a credit, which we are anticipating in next year's, anticipating in our cuts that we're already submitted.
Almost like a transfer.
Yeah.
Sounds like great.
All in favor of the motion, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstention, motion so carried. I need a motion for item B.
That the Board of Education accept the April 2012 operating results analysis of the grants and projects 12-102.
I have a second. Second. Motion has been properly moved and second. Ed?
Yeah, that's, again, that's all about grants, as we're doing up to date. Hopefully by next month, we'll give you some ideas of our carryovers in those accounts. So we'll have that for you.
Any? Okay. Sam?
Can you define a carryover?
Could you speak into the mic?
Can you define? Can you define the carryovers?
Yeah, there are a number of funds we have, especially IDA and Title I. The government likes us to carry over 2 months' worth of carryover because they start the next school year, and if we have any summer programs, so we want that. The other times is during the year, if somebody leaves, okay, or if somebody does not take fringe benefits, or we save some money on purchasing items, or especially IDA, if we don't have a child going to a tuition school, those we use as carryovers. So we'll have a report for you next month with the carryovers.
Mr. Zanelli?
Thanks. Ed, with regard to the grants, I mean, the budget's around $20 million. Historically, since I've been on the board, I don't believe we've ever paid much attention to that particular aspect of the budget. We're always focusing on the operational part, or at least maybe I fell asleep during those meetings, but we did pay attention to it. But
I think that would be more fun.
I would like going forward,
Yeah.
maybe more brief descriptions of some of the programs in the grants, what they do, the benefits of them, et cetera. So at least there's a little more clarity as to what these grants are supporting.
No problem.
Thanks.
Maybe the duration.
I'm sorry.
Maybe the duration of the grant
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, a lot, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, could I hear aye? Opposed? Any abstention? Motion so carried. Action item C.
That the Board of Education approve and set the school district's budget in the amount of $115,795,291 for the fiscal year 2012-2013.
Second.
Motion has been properly moved and second. Are there any questions? Sandy?
Okay, so are we approving the lump sum of that budget, not the recommendations that Dr. Sal has made and how we disperse those funds? Or what are we actually
Okay, thank you.
making a motion to?
If you approve this, you're approving the whole budget and everything that's in the budget.
The recommendations that you
Yes,
discussed in the
but it's
last
not in
meeting?
the 115 and change it. It's the 1.7. Am I correct? The 1.7 is separate from this.
Then I have comments. Please. Okay. I had a number of questions, 31 to be exact, that I don't believe I've had, many answers to. So I have a problem that I still have some outstanding questions. And I also would like to read a little something that I wrote. And when I was elected to the board, I promised my constituents that I would focus on K through 12. And I have learned since then that adult education is a state mandated program, which I also need to support. We're taking a substantial amount of money. About 1.5 million in total, which we include administration, teachers, and buildings for high school, for Head Start. Meanwhile, our children in K through 12 don't have textbooks, laptops, and the school's office can't provide soap in the bathrooms. And we are going to give a non-mandated program, non-K through 12, over $1 million. And as I dig deeper into the Head Start program, two glaring facts come out. The money we provide goes primarily to pay the salaries of people who make over $160,000 a year. In a nonprofit, 60 cents of every dollar that we fund goes towards salaries and overhead. So every time we give money to this non-mandated program, salaries of those people increase. That's 4 individuals I'm talking about. The other glaring fact is that recently released, congressionally released a mandated study into the question of the effectiveness of this program. I strongly believe in early childhood education, which is why I completely support all-day kindergarten and pairs in all of our kindergarten classes, which when we started questioning this funding, it was on the chopping block. According to the superintendent's budget. It went from, it's not in the definite budget, it's in the possible budget category, where Head Start is in the definite category. All I hear from the district is that we don't have enough money, we don't have enough money, but there's pet projects that get funded when other ones don't. So I don't know if this is appropriate time. We have a motion on. If I can make a motion, I'm not certain how I do that, so.
Did we have to defeat this?
Okay, all right, so that's my stance on that, and I have documentation if anybody wants to look at it, but extra facts. Thank you.
I mostly have a question, and I can't find the sheet. At our last meeting, Dr. Sal, when there was more possibility of money coming back into 1.7, there was a sheet, and there were things, that's when the cuts to the Head Start program went to, I believe, a proposed 50,000 and so forth. If we vote tonight, is that what we're voting on? Everything that's gone before, but those things back in the budget?
Let me respond.
Yeah,
The proposal here of 115795291 includes a reduction to Head Start for $50,000. So that's part of the reduction for next year.
So it's the 425, 12 document.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's the clarification I need. Thank you.
I also, if I could, as long as it's on the table, I think it's a good conversation. We can get some questions. We just don't have a lot of time to do stuff, so I apologize. But I did, I promised the board I was going to sit down with Mr. Maloney and look at the feasibility of getting back, I called, to supporting Head Start at a level that from about 2 years ago with some kind of funding mechanism. After we sat down and talked about the realities that it's really challenging because there isn't a lot out there for funds to do it, but we're mindful to try to go out and get some funds. But I've asked Jim to look at the possibility of that reduction, and since then he had sent a letter. I don't know if you shared the letter to the board. Oh, you didn't. Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
Would you share it with them? Does it just continue with it? And in here, I'll read you this, this statement here. That based on your perspective that the school system wishes, that's my wish in terms of my community, over the next series of years, its current annual commitment of funds of Head Start from 2011-12 level from 585 to approximately half of that amount is a goal that I set. I mentioned it to the board. Mathematically, it's about 292,000 and change, but subject to upward adjustments due to PBS union agreements and other concerns. He writes. Head Start would agree to an annual reduction of 50,000 until the reduced level is reached. Now, we started that in this year's budget reduction. Head Start will be responsible for making up the annual difference by seeking funds from other sources such as charitable foundations, additional state or federal funds, and the like. It's Head Start position that will represent a significant challenge to the program, but it's not out of line with what is reasonable and responsible. This coming year, for example, we agreed that CF could sponsor an additional 20 to 40 school readiness. I'll let you read that, which would make it possible with administrative savings in Head Start. Now, that's the readiness money that you can't guarantee that because there's a function of those seats get allocated through a system. But what I'm saying to you is I said I'd go back and talk to them to look to get this reduced to 3 years ago. The research that we're talking about, I also covered it because I've gotten calls from citizens about that, and I've asked the Head Start individuals to respond because there was, research came out on both sides, but frankly, there are some issues with Head Start as presented, and I think it would be your due diligence to give us a few minutes to talk about it, because I think you'd be criticized if you don't. And I've asked you to come on up here and talk a little bit about that. The study that was out there, the New York Times, did have some information that was accurate. It was based on information that people would hear about, and our program is a little bit different. So this is not a tip to tat. This is just background and building of information for all of us.
Hi, I'm Kara Watson-Wanzer. I'm the Education and Mental Health Manager for Head Start. I'm a Danbury Public School employee. I've been a Danbury Public School employee for about 8 years, where I used to serve the Head Start program, and now I work for Head Start. I supervise all the public school employees and teachers in the program. If you're referring to the impact study, which you probably are wanting to discuss, there are several issues with this impact study. When you look at longitudinal and longevity of the study, there's methodological problems with the study. When you look at the control group of the children that were compared to Head Start. And Dr. Glass spoke about a study more recently in a paper done by William Stephen Barnett that refuted and went through a lot of the issues that this impact study brought out. There have been, as we say, on both sides when you look at what the research says. And typically it's outdated at this point. When you're looking at studies from that far back, and the legislation that's come through for Head Start in 2007 with the Head Start Act, we had reauthorization that completely changed the way Head Start functions. This study was put out before that, and the research was acquired before that. At this point, the Head Start Act now looks at teacher credentials, as well as school readiness plans, which are very in-depth that we have to get regionally approved, are often with Boston, as well as yeah, it's not that. And the class portfolio, which we have done, and with our particular program, we scored in the top 5% of the country. Our class scores were double the nation's, and that came out of the Reauthorization Act. That did not exist before 2007 when this impact study began. So there's a lot of issues that have come out of this impact study. A lot of papers has been done. A lot of statistically accurate research has come out to say that Head Start is incredibly advantageous to children with yielding results in cognitive, social. I mean, even the impact study itself says it reduces crime, reduces teen pregnancy, and increases student retention in schools. I mean, if you're looking at the fact that the impact study just produced some results that said modest cognitive increase, there could be a refute to say to that it's modest because their programs weren't the highest quality, which ours is, which is in the top 5% of the nation.
Can I read something that I'm going to give this because I just got it from Jim. It says here, Head Start program study not comparable to the Danbury programs. Now, the answer I've given to the public revolves around this information. What I've been trying to read as recent as this morning, in terms of if you read the Detroit News about the money of preschool saving them $100,000 a year as they program it out, the impact of students throughout the school system. This says here, the study programs are typically the study program, which is the report you're speaking to, typically looked at 3- and 4-year-olds lasting one school 9 months.
And ours is 24.
Okay, let me read. The Danbury program is 2-year program, is typically 18 months.
Right.
plus 4 classrooms that go year-round for a total of 24. In addition, the Danbury program is delivered on top of the educational one of Early Head Start program. Head Start programs are designed to children with the most severe educational development challenges. It says here, this quantifies the resulting differences show up in the Danbury program results scoring, that's what you're speaking, in the top 5% of all Head Start programs in the country. Danbury educational performance results were approximately double the national results. Right? So what I've been telling people is, I found out I did 40 years, does that sound about
Yes.
right? Why is it, that's not, why is it part of the school system? I don't know. They've been doing it for 40 years. And I wonder back there if they thought maybe it would be better if the program was in control of the school system, because it was an articulated program, not one left in tangentially with some other organization running it with the board, applying for it, giving you the funds, giving another organization the funds, without any nexus to it.
What I heard at that particular time, Danbury school system had the space that they needed. So that's what I.
So they had this space, and that's why there are teachers. So whether the board continues or not, that's a conversation. But I think our program is different maybe since the beginning, that has been part of it, intimately part of it. The teachers are our teachers, correct?
That's right.
The certification is moving next year, that they have to have full certification to teach here.
There, according to reauthorization and the Head Start Act, there's a certain plan for professional development for teachers to have increased credentials. So it was an associate's by a certain date and then a bachelor's by a certain date.
When does the bachelor have to come into play?
2013.
So you can see what they've done there. So it is different, and it is much less costly because now you have certified folks. So that's, but that's what I have in terms of some of the research, and you can find researchers on both of those. But our program seems to be different since its inception in some ways.
And just piggybacking quickly after what Dr. Sal said, if you take the impact study even to be true that you're referencing, what their major point is that there's only modest gains because there's not enough community participation and support and funding for the program. So in order to get more gains for the children that can be lasting over time, is that you need community participation and engagement. And that's what national centers are working on all over the country right now.
Yes.
The study that I looked at was mandated by Congress.
That's
and
right.
It was in that time frame that you were talking about.
That's right. It's the
And it was very comprehensive. It was a nonpartisan study. And it does say that kids fall off afterwards. And the problem is that they go from a full-time Head Start program to half-day kindergarten. And we just don't have that money. We had teachers' testimonials here tonight. We need paras for all of our other schools. And, huge amount of the money we give you goes to your director's salaries. Your 5 people. I have a report here. I can show you.
That's just not accurate. I am the only
It is
authority.
Federal, we are not going to adopt.
It's a federal document. I will show it to you if you'd like to. But the point is that we don't, in this day and age, have that money to give to a non-mandated, non-K through 12 program.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a federal compensation limit, and I would love to see what report you're referencing. And also, I believe the limit is $156,000, and no one makes, with the exception of very few executives, even close to that. And the Board of Education funding doesn't.
That report is the 550 report that all community health centers have to fill out. It just gives you the top 5 people who make money, does not give you all of the other people that make money. It's mandated by the federal government. All community, I'm on the board of a community health center in Torrington. I'm director of the finance operation there. We have to fill it out. It only gives you the top 5 or 6 members who make the most money in that category. We don't have those people. I can give you a list of our payroll. It's no problem. Let's hope that my 550s are mandated by the federal government to, and hospitals have to do that. All those nonprofits have to submit a 550.
And our nonprofit does run a federally qualified health center, which employs MDs.
That's separate. And I am the only coordinator that is a Danbury Public School employee that's paid under the money that is received from you. And then everybody else is a teacher. that we pay.
Paraprofessional.
That you, the paraprofessional that we call lead teachers. And just to point out is when I came on, it was told to me that during the time, as Ms. Cooper pointed out, that it was because there was space within the public schools, and the public schools wanted to have oversight of the program because the tutors and paras were functioning within the school system. So the coordinator always also had to be a public school employee for the fact that somebody needed to supervise them, which is where this originated. And also, obviously, with the partnership of wanting the same set of goals for the children.
Sure. First of all, I don't think, I'm uncomfortable when we create a situation where any of us, it's our decision as board members and it's our will to have these arguments. I do not feel comfortable with a program that we have supported or our employees having to sit and justify what they do or the value of what they do. That is not, Sandy, to be a criticism of you. It's our fight. It's our discussion. And I, for myself, wish to apologize to the people from Head Start because I don't think that's your role, and I'm sorry that you've been put in that position. I support Head Start, but I also recognize that with the new, as we were discussing, with the new credentials that are going to be required of Head Start teachers and so forth, that program is going to escalate in expense for Danbury. Okay, we aren't paying certified teachers now. We will then be paying certified teachers. So I'm far more in agreement with a slow phase out as presented of our total our large liability for the program. However, I'm also very much in favor of full-day kindergarten and ran on exactly the same thing. I also know the need for aides. I've been a special education teacher. It may have been years and years ago, but I'm old enough to have spent 20 years in a classroom of special ed. You can't function with needy students without help. You can't do it, and the gap starts there. So I'm looking more at, I understand PD is important, but we have on the adjusted page that I was talking about on the 25th, we have 100,000 for instructional enhancement interns. Could we possibly utilize our administrators now, I know we don't have thousands, to do some of that? Can we take that 100,000 and put it somewhere else that we need? Can we look at some of these other things? I don't know if all-day kindergarten includes aides or not. Okay, yeah.
The intern's a misnomer. What an intern there is referring to is a full-time teacher through the university who's an intern. That intern comes into our school. Years past, they were simply as random substitutes. They currently serve as, they go through a training module. That's our goal. And then they're trained in our case, and given to Chris Brush, she's our reading person, so that when the teachers leave their classroom, because that was a real issue for teachers, and it still is in a lot of ways, to leave their classrooms to go to these data team meetings that happen during the day. They were very uncomfortable about stuff going in there that really didn't understand the program, and there would be some loss. Our decision 3 years ago, I can't, was to get these interns that are paid through the university, we pay the university, to go in, train them, bring them in as a cadre, and then they go into these classrooms, so that they're not administrative interns. It's not meant to say.
And honestly, it's a matter of just simply, and I'm not denigrating that idea either, but we're sitting at a crossroads here where we're talking about really serious things in terms of the achievement gap also, and it's very difficult to sit here and not say, look at, what would $100,000 do for us in Paris? Okay, I don't know how far it would go, but if it put one para in one elementary school that was needed in kindergarten, then to me, I'd make that choice. That's all I'm saying. And I'm throwing it out there for consideration also of my fellow board members.
Madam Chairman, if I might just provide a little more information, just understand that if we don't use those instructional interns as substitutes as we have been, your cost of putting substitutes into classrooms will escalate.
So it will not be a true savings because we're still going to have to put adults into those classrooms for covering absences. So this was not only a cost-effective way for us to cover the absence, but also providing some service to those who are acting as student interns. We're giving them some experience, we're giving them some training, and we're using them in the capacity of substitutes. So just understand that it's not going to be a one-for-one. If you pull that out, it will drive up the cost of covering those vacancies.
This is the time, I asked Joe just to, when they were removed, just for the background, if you don't mind, it was difficult when we had decided to remove the aides. You can find research, again, I had mentioned aides over teachers, it's class size research that makes comments, but the use of the aide the right way is very beneficial. There's no doubt about that in anybody's mind. So the board had to decide on half-day kindergarten and the aide in terms of the reduction. At that time, it was valued at $750,000, I recall, which would be a different number now. It was either a half-day kindergarten goes to, we have universal half-day kindergarten, and we keep the aides, if you recall. The recommendations from that we received was different than the ones that we received from the administrators in terms of what would be beneficial. We had recommended, I believe, maintaining the aides. I'm trying to remember. The board at that time felt they wanted to stay with full-day kindergarten. At least one in every school was better than none, if you recall. Help me out if I'm not correct. And the way we do our kindergarten, for whatever reason, it's done by lottery. It doesn't pick on those that are most needy. So for whatever reason, Danbury has done it that way. So that's why we have the half-day kindergarten, and there went the aides. So I asked Joe if we would look at, across the board, we have 28.5 FTEs for kindergarten. If we were to put in an aide in each one of what it would cost, and see, I knew this would come up. 17, they're not paid, it's only 17,000. You know what the cost is. It's in the benefits. With the benefits in that, the total is $1.2 million. My guess is the way it was done, and Bill is here along, I think no one had a full-time aide. The aide was shared probably 1 to 2. So that's why you could probably cut it in half to about $600,000, my guess, if you would have put that in, just so you know the scope of what you're talking about. And my heart goes out to those phenomenal teachers that were here. Kindergarten is very difficult. It is very difficult, the demands that they have. And that's why the full-day kindergarten is so important. Could they use the aides? I think they can. It's a matter of how you're going to make that decision. So that's what it would cost, Joe, just to give you an idea. But the interns, we simply skimmed off of the amount, the 1.2 million we were using for the saving some money from the substitute to move them there, which made some sense, right? So if the board wants to do something, I mean, that's the kind of scope that you're talking about around, if that's what we do. And that would, the 28.5, I'm just curious. But to answer your question, the full-day kindergartens does not include me. You asked me that question. It's just a teacher.
Just obviously we've had some differences of opinion. I think we all agree though the achievement gap. It's just a question of where the focus is. And I don't want to go into great detail. We already did this at a previous meeting at Rogers Park. Just say that we have one of the best programs going, and being on negotiating teams, I think the vast amount of money that was used, that our money was used for, was not high-paying jobs, but people who do the teaching and knowledge, and not the high salaries. We asked the superintendent to do a very difficult thing. We have all these competing ideas. The goals are the same. The major goal we all agree on is closing the achievement gap. I look at keeping Head Start the way it is, and then I'm being swayed with the phase out because of economic necessity. But I really think that it has been a program that we are very, very proud of, and it is one of the best ones around. I think the earlier we get the children, the better off we are, to be honest, and the parents, which is now a major component, from what I understand, of your program. I think the superintendent and the staff has done everything with the contingency plans with the $1.7 million to try to address some of the meetings with with all-day kindergarten. There's a phasing plan that's hopefully will be carried out. What I'm saying is I think this is about the best, to me, this is the best case scenario that we can arrive at, but depending upon the people we pay to be our experts, having them follow what our board goals were going back 5 years. And this closing the achievement gap has been a continuous one. So I don't think it's the best. It's not the perfect budget. I think it's the best case scenario, and I'm going to support it.
My mind is going in my two different places, but Shirley, back to your point, maybe you're right, it is our discussion and our fight, but Dr. Sal did invite people to come to the table and discuss this. So although it is our fight, when you ask somebody to come to the table, they should be prepared and we should be able to ask them questions and they should be able to answer them. So if they were invited, I don't think that's anyone's fault. The other thing, and somebody had said it 2 weeks ago, let's not pit education against education. It was one of the teachers of Head Start. And unfortunately, we're put in that position. We are being put in that position because we don't have the funding. And every one of us, I feel, we support early intervention, we support early education. The problem is you have limited funds. And where I see the disconnect as an educator, is that we have this very rich program for 3- and 4-year-olds that enter into a half-day kindergarten with much less support. Now there's state mandates that require your 3- and 4-year-olds to have 10 children for one adult. I understand that, I get that, which is why you have 2 people in your classrooms and you have 20 students. When you get to kindergarten, that mandate goes away, okay? You can have up to 20 children and sometimes more in a classroom. So the argument of having 2 people in a classroom for Head Start, there isn't an argument. There's a mandate out there. There's a law that we need to follow. The disconnect for me as an educator is that we have this support that's put into place in early education, in 3-4, ages of 3 and 4. Then we put them into a kindergarten with 20 children, 1 adult, and half day. And I have seen it. I have been teaching for 21 years. Regression happens if you do not continue to support. It will happen. So all of the wonderful things that you have done and your test scores prove and you become the top 5 in the nation, I guarantee if we continue those studies with those children, that you're not going to see that same type of growth because we don't have those supports in place beyond Head Start. And so I think the frustration for me even is how do we get to continue to support those children and the other children of Danbury so that there is no regression and that continues. And you talk about achievement gap, there is your gap. You have a fabulous preschool program. No one denies that. What we don't have is a fabulous kindergarten program to continue. And how do we go from that to what they're left with? And that's my frustration, that's my struggle. And I don't want to pit the 2 programs against each other. I don't want to take from Head Start to give to kindergarten, but I have to tell you that I have a real struggle with this because I feel we have not done our job to support that part of the program. We have not continued that support. And I don't know, maybe it was beyond me years before, but we argue and we support and we put ourselves behind it 100%, and we've been in the newspapers saying we support this program, and yet we have not been as an advocate to support for kindergarten, full-day kindergarten, and keeping our pairs in kindergarten. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but Dr. Sell, I have to say that the other 2 weeks ago, when you had made mention that pairs in the kindergarten classroom, it really was more beneficial that you have an effective teacher. I agree with you, I was shocked because I know what a para can do in a classroom, and I know how it can free up hands for that teacher to provide some tier intervention and support that you cannot get if you are tying shoes and helping somebody put on a coat and all of those things. I get that. And yet, if I'm understanding this correctly, our Head Start people are pairs. So I can't understand how you would support one in one setting and yet not feel it was just as advantageous. Now, in kindergarten, that's all I'm saying. So I'm telling you my personal frustration is that I feel we let the ball drop the minute they leave those doors. And I would like to see us try very hard. I realize we have a plan in place for full day kindergarten, it's a phase-in plan, I get that. But I would like to see us very hard try to support those classrooms. I understand the full day kindergarten, but how about supporting those half-day kindergarten classrooms with a para? Stable, full-day classroom, those children will benefit from double the amount of hours of education. Those half-day classrooms I'm concerned about. And I would like us to see somehow we boost those half-day programs, at least with the para, to provide those teachers the opportunity to do some of that intervention and tiered support. I would like to see us try to do that without putting two programs against each other. I don't know how, but that's what I think we dropped the ball.
Gary?
Yes, Ambrose just said most of what I was going to say. And I believe Mr. Mancini during public speaking said pretty much the same thing, that it does very little good to support Head Start and get these kids up and running and then drop the ball in kindergarten. The figure was just thrown out, $600,000 it would cost to put aides into all the kindergarten classes we have now, right, which is approximately what we're giving to Head Start. So it would make more sense to me to put that into the kindergartens where we're supporting all the kids in the Danbury school system, just not a couple hundred. And close the achievement gap that way. In addition, I should mention that the taxpayers of Danbury are about to pick up an $8 million bill to build a building for Head Start. So it's not that we as taxpayers don't want to support it. Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
To echo Ann Rose's comments and one that I have for Dr. Sal, the teacher's aides, is there any reason why they can't be part-time and therefore not receive benefits?
The answer to that, if you can get them, yes. The answer is yes, you can. You can get a part-time.
It's actually, the contract does require that only a certain percentage of that bargaining unit can be part-time. So without actually looking closely at it, I could tell you that we probably would hit a certain limit of how many we could put in at part-time without getting into.
Let me get back to you, because I think, you know, these accounting forces, we all know the needs. What I cited was, and I have to apologize, I'm saying what the research says. The STAR research is the most comprehensive research on class size. It was dealing with class size. And I'm going to just read it. The evidence from student testing in STAR showed that the students in smaller classes outperformed the students in larger classes, with whether or not the larger class teacher had an aide helping them. Now, I am not saying that that's why when the recommendations are on the table about keeping aides for half-day kindergarten, we recommend teachers, because I know that at that time we didn't have SLBI, you may recall. It was the inclusionary program that we have needed that because we were doing that work. But we didn't do that. We moved forward. And what you're talking about, our concern is, how do we level the playing field? We have a phase in a full-day kindergarten over 3 years. If we phase it in 5, 4, and 4, is there some way that we talked about supporting those schools because of space that couldn't have it in? And we toyed with the idea of aides and what have you, but not part-time, because of some problems. Because the way that the aide would work would split probably in the building. So if by consensus the board's agreeing on something like that, when we look at the 1.7, we will try to do that. We will try to do that. I will not argue against Head Start because, it does make a difference. But it doesn't make a difference. If you read this report, if we don't keep class size support for a period of time,
it's a regression. I think you can't, that's indisputable, we all know that. So how do we come around both? You guys you're getting them ready. In 3 years, we're hoping we'll have full-day kindergarten for all. Can we get the full-day kindergarten and then support the non-full day? I think if that's a priority, let us deal with the 1.7 and see if we can get there. I mean, that might be a possibility.
That was,
For me. Yeah, I did.
that was my question. My question would be, why couldn't we use part of the 1.7 to put paras at least into the halftime kindergarten? So that would be,
Well,
that would
I will say this, if, when you ask someone up here said to me, how are the plans going to be developed? I'm not developing the plans. The plans are coming from the school. And, you know, if you're talking to the principals, I'm saying, tell me what's more important for you. And they think that the interventions is more important than that. Then that's how they want to utilize their money, to do that. If we're saying prescriptively, we're going to go full-day kindergarten, we've already made that, that's a unilateral decision. You don't have an option to say no. So that's going into 1.7. Then it's going to be incumbent on us, here, me, to say, out of that amount of money, the next set of priority is going to be the district's going to employ for the non-full-day kindergarten schools, an aide. Maybe one for every 2, one for every 3, however we can do it. Lessening how much money to 1.7 is going to be able to be utilized, because we may not get more than 1.7. Then what that means is I got to go back into the operational piece and reduce it down so that I can make that accommodation. And I was going to talk a few minutes about some opportunities there. I think we can get there from here if we understand that it's going to take some time. We've got to work together to get there. It's going to be difficult, but we have a plan that maybe will recognize more input for kids to 3rd grade. If you look at the reform, I'm going to read to you, there's a real specified intervention in reading K, 1, 2, 3, and preschool. It fits all together. It's kind of a tipping point, but an opportunity. I think we need the chance to build that, you know, together. And, you know, I feel Head Start ought to be a part of it with a phase system. And then full-day kindergarten, maybe we'll have to relook at it. If the board says, Sal, and to the team, look at that, I'd be willing to look at it, see how we can do it. I'll turn it to Dr. Glass. I don't do all the talking because he works with the principals more often. Your thoughts?
Listening to the conversation, the board has been put in an untenable position. Doing it correctly requires all of the above. You need a strong, robust program like Head Start for all Danbury children. You need a strong full-day K program for all Danbury children. You need paraprofessionals in all of the kindergarten classes. I understand Shirley's point about $100,000. This very prescriptive requirement for K-3 literacy, our teachers are coming forward saying we don't know how to do what they're asking us to do. So as we poll our teachers for professional development, they say these things called professional learning communities. We're pulling them together in small groups. All the kindergarten teachers come in and they learn a particular strategy. We don't have money to do that either. Those interns, as Sal said, it's a misnomer. They're substitutes. They're substitute teachers. It's a better deal for us, as Kim said. It costs us less money to hire a UB intern than it does a per diem sub. And as Sal said, our teachers didn't want to leave the classroom because they're so worried about turning their back on the kids and the achievement gap getting bigger, until they said, well, if you can put a sub in here that's been appropriately trained, and it can be the same sub every single time, then I'm willing to leave the classroom. So you're in a position right now where it's like a suspension bridge. Brand new suspension bridge has all the cables in place, and you cut a cable, you get rid of the paraprofessionals, and you cut a cable, you get rid of the literacy leaders, and you cut a cable, we get rid of professional development, you cut a cable, we get rid of textbooks. That's what we've done for the past 3 to 5 years. And as Attorney Mancini said, one of the speakers, and I've said it many times now, we are not the same school system we were 5 years ago. And we're devolving instead of evolving, and so we're scurrying. Nobody wants the increased accountability and scrutiny that the 1.7 million will bring, other than maybe us. And the reason being is it worth the trade-off? Sure it is. We'll go after anything we can possibly find including additional accountability, monitors coming in from the state, if it means more resources coming in for Danbury kids. So unfortunately, listening to all the comments, I agree with all of them. There's no one that's off the mark on this. It's a matter of we don't have enough money to go around, so somebody's going to get fed and somebody's not. So I can't say any better than you all have said it. When I listen to the principals, the final point, they say, give me all-day K with a great teacher, it's going to be wonderful. What about paraprofessionals? Give me paraprofessionals, it'll be wonderful. What about kids who have gone through quality readiness programs? Give me those programs too. So if we were to eliminate, forget Head Start, all the readiness programs that are NIAC accredited. You heard somebody speak earlier, and it resonates very well with me, I think it was the Moore Street story. When kids don't go through quality pre-K programs, nursery school programs, etc., they come in with massive gaps the first minute of the first day of kindergarten. So even if we put universal kindergarten in, the kindergarten teachers won't be able to close that gap. And those kids will not be able to read on grade level by grade 3. So it's an insidious mess that we find ourselves in. And there's no good answer with this. It's like, do I cut off my left hand or my right hand? I'm right-handed, I'm going to cut off my left hand. You don't need it? Sure do. But in terms of survival, this is what I need to survive.
Thank you. Mr. Paul, you have a question?
Yeah, please. Do we have any type of financial impact come 2013 when these paraprofessionals within Head Start are going to be required to have a BS degree?
I can speak to a bit of how it's functioning now. As our teachers, as our paras are getting further education, most of our teachers have associate's degrees in early childhood, which is not a requirement of being a para, but they still stay under the same bargaining unit and the same pay grade as that. So that has never increased, nor has their bargaining unit changed as they are getting degree attainment. On top of that, as teachers are retiring, Civic is taking over positions of those teachers. So we had Mary Lou Fuller just retire in February. That position is now transitioning to a Civic position. We're hiring a BA teacher, but you are no longer paying that salary. I mean, I think, and to speak to Ann Rose and I so appreciated that Ann Rose and Sandy and Richard Chinelli all came out to our program to really get to know, to talk to me about child outcomes, to see what the classrooms are like, to meet the kids, and I think that was incredibly responsible of you. And I think at the same time, we realize the situation, but I think cutting off one hand to serve the other and things like that is a really difficult situation. But I really implore you to look at a responsible transition plan for these children and your employees. I mean, this is truly an issue for the district to look at, and to look at the community that's changed in Danbury. If you really look at the community assessment of dual language learners, 80% of our children's home language is not English. When you consider just putting paras in to supplement kindergarten education, are you thinking about what other needs they're going to have for language needs? I mean, those kids receive 2 years of primary English spoken in the classroom before they come, and some of them still need support. So can you imagine a time where we're cutting classrooms because we're being aggressive about this cut, and now these children don't have a place to go, and now you're receiving all these kids without exposure to the English language? That is a real problem for these kindergarten teachers.
There's a motion on the floor, it's been properly moved and second. We will do a vote. Starting with first. No, we're going to do just in favor of the motion. Should I start with all in favor of the motion that was read?
115.
Reread the motion. The motion
That the Board of Education approve and set the school district's budget in the amount of $115,795,291 for the fiscal year 2012-2013.
Yes. Mr. Parker?
Against.
Shirley?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Personally, I'd like some more discussion. I'm sorry. I just.
Okay.
I just.
You can have, there's.
No. That without more discussion.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Yes. Sandy? Ann Rose? Okay, we got it.
6 yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 no's.
The vote has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can we repeat that, just so I have it absolutely perfect? Can we go around one more time? I'm sorry.
Phyllis?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Mrs. Quackendall?
No.
Shirley? Yes. Mr. Hawley?
No.
Cooper? Yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Richard? Yes. Bob? Yes. Sandy? No. Ann Rose? No. Motion so passed. Next on the agenda, superintendent's report.
Connecticut, thank you. Connecticut T20 Council Teacher Preparation. Part of the reform that, I'm going to do two together. Part of the reform is looking at teacher preparation. And I was part of the committee last week that brought in about 20 educators across the state to redefine what free service should look like in the state of Connecticut. A lot of it is work that we've done, probably the same with WestCon and the modifications they've done in their programs. And a lot of it deals with the entry level of teachers into the program. Some programs, for example, admitted students at large with GPAs that were lower than a B average. The recommendations that were made at many for the institutions now in Connecticut that we hope will come out into law, because the commission was there, that people are going to need a B plus in order to get into the program in three major areas. In addition to that, individuals will have to take what we call praxis beforehand, so they don't go through the program and not qualify. We've had some situations like that. It focused on a lot of the research in the industry now that's talking about spending time in school prior to even becoming certified. So they're looking at freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, what they're calling them internships and various names, but to have about 900 hours by the time they leave and become a teacher in schools. 900 hours roughly, we have 900 hours of a school year of 180 days. It gives you an idea of what's being said. So what was wonderful to see was that everybody there in that room, which had a number of researchers, the university was there, all came around those common points. So I think not only is K-12 going to change, but our colleges will change in terms of our student teachers. Our teachers will be coming out with the competencies that will be much different because the expectations are much higher. So I'll keep you informed of that. I was just pleased to be part of that. Senate Bill 24.
Doctor, if I could add, with regard to that, I mean, are they, so as an education major, are they looking at it as perhaps a 5-year program, seeing that it's going to be 1 full year of student teaching?
Let me restate that. The 900 is not looking to be truncated in 1 year. They're looking at that exposure in addition to the student teaching.
Okay.
The 5-year program, the master program, they were recommending as, I think UConn is one of the ones that have it, there's a few schools that have that, as possibly the norm, it'd be a 5-year program. Some of us ask this question, there's a shortage area already with teachers. And will that create more blocks for us? I mean, that doesn't help anyone. What we're getting from Sacred Heart and some of the other universities that have 4-year programs and going to 5, the inquiries that are made by future students, they're asking for a 5-year program. Wanting to go to programs that have 5 years, realizing that extra year is needed. So they seem to think that 5th-year program should be a problem for students. We have students. But even if they didn't have the 5th-year program, in the 4-year program, before they become teachers, the recommendations, they all have about 900 hours in the field. As volunteers, student teachers, interns, various things like that. So that was the genesis of that. I mean, I'm excited about that because you think it's hard for high schools to change. Universities are incredible. They're looking to change. WestCon's been working with us in tremendous fashion to do this. I'm very happy about that. Senate Bill 24 that's passed here. I just want to highlight something for you that impacts something we just talked about. the new school readiness program spaces, there's 500 new seats in 10 districts with the lowest district performance indices. Now, they haven't defined those indices, and that's why I'm a little uncomfortable. I don't think we'll be there. I think we'll be with the expanded group. There's 250 in the priority or the former priority districts, which we are, new seats. Then there'll be 250 more in school districts receiving competitive funding under the State Department of Education Readiness Program, which we do as well. So I'm trying to find out, is there 500 seats, and then we'll be able to apply for some of those seats. No way Danbury's going to get them all, but that would be more seats for more kids to help us. The thing that's interesting is that, and we qualify, a competitive school district is one that has a priority school or former priority school, i.e. a school where at least 40% of school lunch served is free and reduced. We are now there as a district average. We weren't there 3 years ago. We have some schools at 80%, but the district average is at 40%. There's going to be a study on early childhood education facilities. I think the thinking there, you may recall, Governor Malloy is a proponent of universal preschool. The argument, everybody's agreed with it, but where are we going to put the kids, then how are we going to pay for it, kind of what you're going through. But they're moving forth, we're trying to do something like that. They're going to put together, the bill allocates an unspent fund appropriation of 1,000 new school readiness spaces required for up to $80,000 to Connecticut Health and Education Facilities Authority to do a study on space needs. So that's coming. So, you know, in Danbury building that site, they're going to be able to fill that with no problem. Here's the piece that's interesting. There's going to be a new statewide reading assessment. Now, the reading assessment is this. There's going to be, as you know, we've been pushing for the last few years about having the prescriptive diagnostic routine for us cycle, where we have formative information to guide the prescriptive work we do with our students in reading. The bill calls for frequent student screening of students, which we do in progress monitoring, a measurement of phonics, phonemic awareness, and fluency, which we do, and allow for periodic formative assessment during the school year, produce data, all things that I think that we're doing and to can be compatible with best practice in reading. Here's the part that's new. Teaching reading exam. Beginning July 1st, 2014, and each following the school year, the bill requires all certified employees, teachers, and administrators working in grades K through 3rd grade to take a practice version of the State Board of Ed approved reading instruction exam. Each local and regional Board of Ed shall annually report the results of the practice exam to the Department of Education. So the thing that we're talking about, making sure capacity is there, is we got to do that. Now, whatever they do with CEU is not going to matter. We got to do that for our people. Professional development in reading. It's got to be based on student assessment, based on differentiated work. The stuff the PSYOP is based on good work. That's what we're talking about. Informed principles on how to evaluate classroom professional development is the work that we do. So, I mean, that's it. And then everything that we do, and this is my worry, why I got to find a way that we could work with both sides as preparing kids and supporting kids, particularly K1, 2, and 3. It's going to be based on the adoption of the Common Core standards. Now, we did a quick thing with you with that, the Common Core standard. I can't tell you how aggressive and how comprehensive those requirements are. And the school systems like Fairfield and Westport, they say, that's no big thing, it's just we do that. No, it is still totally different, the work that's got to be done. And it's got to be done starting early on, and so that's the pressure this new law is giving you as policymakers, and then how are we going to finance this stuff? It also requires 20 minutes of physical exercise a day. It doesn't prescriptively says it has to be done by a certified teacher, but the idea of fit minds and fit body is there. So we have to figure out to make sure our kids, some places you've heard about these wars. No recess, you have to stay. Well, that doesn't. But that's part of our routine now. It's going to be 20 minutes of physical education. The next part, there's much to talk about, transition plans and school takeovers that I think that it talks about school governance councils. going to be, they've reconstituted them to be in more schools. There's the value of working with parents. Here's the area I want to give you, after this last vote, I think you all listen a little bit here, maybe we could do something here. The district performance index is going to be based on some weighting of what we do for conditional funding. They're going to rate the number of students at proficiency, number of students that are at goal. And Bill and I have talked about the SRBI and how we're going to help teachers do that. One of the things you didn't see in tonight's budget that I didn't get a chance to finish to tell you is that Ed has been working on rebidding other service contracts. It looks as though those service contracts, depending on what happens, could save, additionally some funds. You want to give us a peek about how much? Just a peek. Just a peek.
A little peek?
Just a peek.
Where,
Possible.
No more paper.
No more paper. No more, no color. But how much?
250 to 300,000.
Now, now the reason why I'm putting that on the table to you is that as I can move things off the 170, believe me, we will look at, how to come around things that we're talking about. We will do that. And the more he can do that and we can move things over, then the more that we can move into that section, 100,000, you talk about some of the other things, and we can focus on some of this other stuff. Bill points out the dilemma. It's hard to be a little bit pregnant in some of this stuff. I get that piece, but we're going to have to be able to do some of these things until and I'm hoping 3 years out we have our full day program going. So we will look at things like this that you can continue to do to see if we can bring these things together. Because the State Board of Ed is going to look at plans that focuses on those things. And that's the plan I want to put ahead so that we know we're going to get the funds that we're asking for. So we will do that. We will work on that. In terms of a commitment I'm giving you on this conditional funding. We're going to go through this. I just got this last night and I've read it twice. There's a piece on teacher evaluation here that I'm trying to have a better understanding. But I think, the direction we're going is going to fit. And that's about it on this reform bill. So.
Yes, please. Okay, just so that I can sleep okay tonight, I want to.
A little jump in.
I know. The budget I just voted on does not include 1.7.
Correct.
And we will be able to have some impact on that 1.7?
You have to approve 1.7. Yeah, you have to. What I'm saying is I'm going to try to back in that 1.7, the kinds of things I'm hearing that represent here, and move over whatever I can to make it work, is what I'm saying. Because we all know it's the right thing to do for kids.
Okay, Mr. Janelle?
Now that we've finished with the crisis of the day, I want to go back to something that we've agreed to and the absolute need for a forecast, perhaps out 3 years, because with the Common Core standards, with other things that are coming down to fruition, with potential savings, I think it's very, very valuable to us to at least have some sort of a roadmap as to what we're looking at, rather than to do this as we've been doing for the last number of years, which is a horrendous task. And I think if we have a longer time to look at this, we can tweak these numbers as we go forward and have a better understanding of them. And I think it's just a better way that we as an organization, which is no different than a business, looks to the future. So be more proactive than somewhat. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the board chairperson report. I don't have any report at this particular time. I would like to say that if we have a scheduled meeting and you do not plan to attend, please just drop Debbie an email to let her know that you do not plan to attend the meeting. Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to. But anyway, I'll think of it later. Are there any board reports? No.
Superintendent's evaluation.
Well, we're setting up a meeting. Yes. So we haven't set the final date for superintendent evaluation.
The superintendent's evaluation, we're going to talk about in executive session tonight. And I would ask the chair to have a meeting of the board.
Tonight?
No, to set a meeting.
Okay. Any other committees? I need a motion if there's nothing else. Oh, I know what it was. We all know that we're getting, and forgive me, I had a long day. I've been up since 5:30 this morning, and it's been a long, tough day. So if I sound like or act like I'm slipping off, I am. We know that we're getting a lot of invitations from different groups. Okay, now, I would love for you to go to wherever you plan to go. But the invitations, if I get the same invitation and we having something on the same day, you can go and represent the board. Just let me know. Then I can go somewhere else so the board will be represented. That's the only thing. Just shoot me an email. I have the invitation. If you're going, then I won't go. I can go to another function so the board can be well represented for our students. Okay? Next. Okay? I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Then probably moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We will not take a break. We're gonna go into executive session. If you have to step out, let's step out quietly and come back.